With a title like On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Discovery, you would think there would be a groundbreaking discovery. Maybe they got a video that rivals the Patterson-Gimlin footage. Perhaps they even found a body. But something like that would have been newsworthy, and I certainly would have heard about it by now. So I'm guessing with Seth Breedlove's history of hyping up film titles, the discovery isn't much of a discovery at all. This time, the crew travels back to the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State. I guess on their first trip, they all got sick and couldn't stay as long as they wanted to. So they've been called back by the Olympic Project team because of a recent finding by the group. But more on that later. First, we have to interview a bunch of people. To get the ball rolling, they talk to Mike Blair, who lives in the area. He says the Bigfoot is part of the lore of the town, and it's almost normal here. One time, he was off-road and stopped to take a leak when he saw a juvenile and its mother. The baby Bigfoot was just out playing, goofing around while his mom hid back in the trees. And instead of this just being a story, we actually get a picture of it. And yeah, I see it. I like this guy. I could listen to him talk about Bigfoot all day. Coming back to this area, if nothing else, serves as a reminder to how dense the forests are here. They're only 20 miles away from Seattle, but it seems like they're in the middle of nowhere. They also mention how rugged the terrain is, but also touch on how wet it is here. It is a peninsula after all. It's surrounded by water on 3 sides, bringing a lot of condensation into the air, making it a similar habitat to a rainforest, where the great apes live. The Olympic Project member, David Ellis, has been interested in the topic since he was a young kid. One time, he was out playing with his friends in a stump field. Simpler time, I guess, when a stump field could entertain a kid. The boys were playing and a kid hit one of the stumps with a stick, and something didn't like that. It made a bunch of noise and started pulling down trees. Then, the creature let out a scream that sounded like a mix between an elephant and a lion, and it was so loud you could feel it. Once he came to his senses, he yelled, "Run!" and everyone took off. Bigfoot research teams like the BFRO would get so many reports from this area that they wouldn't be able to get to them all. And that's why the Olympic Project was formed, to research all the reports that come in. It seems like most of these people are hunters or hikers or just people who like being out in the woods, so it's a perfect match. Each team member has a different speciality. It might be a DNA expert, a hoax debunker, or in the case of Chris Spencer, an audio guy. He has microphones hidden all over these woods. They play some of the better sounds he's captured over the years. Just imagine what this guy has combed through. Hours and hours of nothing but crickets, just to get 5 seconds of something. Rebecca Slick tells her encounter, and it's interesting because Bigfoot was the last thing on her mind. She was out hiking and stayed a little too long. The sun set and they didn't have any flashlights, but they could still see the trail fine, so they started to head back home. She heard movements in the brush and started to hear footsteps, but every time she would stop, they would stop too. Eventually, she started to hear speech, but it was gibberish and really low. She thought it was demonic. Scared, she hightailed it out of there and made it back home to safety. Now on to the discovery. Finally, we've waited this long. Don't get me wrong, I like hearing people's stories, but you called this movie The Discovery, so let's hear it. What is it? All the work these people have put into research, all the time and money it takes to travel and film these documentaries, it's all going to pay off right here. And it's a bunch of sticks. But to the team, there's no doubt, it's a Bigfoot nest. The story goes like this. A logger was out looking for good spots to get timber, and he came across these odd structures. 6 total nests, like big mattresses made out of huckleberry foliage. They were going to log the area, but the guy gave them 5 years to research it. Very generous, and adds to the believability. Anytime that there's money involved, in this guy's case selling trees, but you abandon it for the sake of science, means he truly thought they might have something here.
I've never seen anything like this.
So the team go in and dissect each nest, disassembling them and finding out that they seem to be woven together, indicating that whatever made this had thumbs. Also, all the leaves on nearby trees have been removed and stacked in little piles, something known animals just don't do. They research if this behavior is seen anywhere else, and only one animal popped up, the gorilla. Some of the team members were out in the woods, and they heard movement. They waited through about 10 minutes of silence before heading down to where they thought it was. When they get there, sure enough, huckleberry in a big pile, and a new nest was being made. The ultimate goal is for a scientific paper to be written about the area, but no respectable scientist wants to put their career on the line by talking about Sasquatch. This team, the Olympic Project and Small Town Monsters, both love the search and want to take part in it. But for others, the goal is to find that definitive proof. The real question they want to ask is,
what type of person are you?
Instead of what, I think a better question is why. Why would these researchers fake this stuff? I get that some people want to put a hoax up on the internet for their 15 minutes of fame, but these guys have committed a good chunk of their lives to this thing, and they aren't that famous. It seems like all of them had had some sort of life-changing experience and just want to prove it to the world. To these people, Bigfoot is real, and they wouldn't fake anything for fear of ruining their reputation. No, I don't think any of these people are hoaxers. However, at the same time, I just don't know about these nests. They are convincing, and I like how they tell us that gorillas do the same thing, but I'm no primate expert. I would need to see what Jane Goodall or some other scientist thinks about it before I wholeheartedly believe them. I do find it kind of unusual that they deconstructed each nest but didn't find any hair. I sleep on a nice comfy bed and you can find my hair. Heck, my dog bed is covered in hair and I clean it all the time. You're telling me that these sticks didn't have any hair left on them? And I get it. People have found fur before and it always comes back inconclusive, but I would have at least expected something out of these nests. They even said that these creatures might have given birth here. What? Given birth without a drop of blood anywhere? I want to believe their optimism, but for now, I'm pretty skeptical of these nests. On the Trail of Bigfoot, the discovery is another notch in the small town monsters belt. It's not bad. It kept my attention throughout. All their stuff is so cinematic and pretty, it's hard to not be entertained. But I'm not buying their discovery. Maybe if I saw it with my own eyes, but here, I'm just not convinced. I give it 2.5 Bigfoot nests out of 4.
We need to leave.
Holy, dude, we don't need to leave. This is what we do like this. I mean, dude, we had a Sasquatch here yesterday, man.
Look, that's a bed.